Drake hasn't exactly been pulling off chess moves in the wake of the Kendrick beef. After transitioning from telling him to drop to telling him to stop on the Heart Part 6, every move he's made since has felt like the wrong one. Seriously, we've literally came to a point where he's calling out Steve Lacy of all people for his involvement in the Ken and Friends pop-out show.
This guy's like a fragile op, but it's a good song though.
What does that mean, a fragile op? No.
Chat knows what I'm talking about.
But keeping every gangster that was on stage's name out of his mouth and mean-mugging NBA players from the sidelines. Yet, even with every attempt to outrun the beef that's backfired on him, Drake's damage control has spun out of hand to the point that he may wound up permanently staining his reputation beyond repair.
Drake, are you serious, bro? I think that like this is one of the worst situations that could have ever possibly happened in hip-hop. Imagine you get into a beef with somebody that you want to engage with. Yeah, you got challenged, but then you antagonizing the beef. And it becomes one of the biggest, most looked at situations that's going on publicly, socially. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody can't wait for the next blow to be thrown. And then you get your ass beat. And after you get your ass beat, you start saying it ain't fair. You leave the park with your ball.
It's your boy Louaista, and this is why Drake's UMG lawsuit changes everything. For a brief moment, it looked like Drake was finally trying to move on from the most traumatic summer of his career. After a few features and unveiling his unconventional data dump of 100 gigs, Drake was doing the utmost to suggest that he was at peace with the beef that he described as a good exercise on the Heart Part 6, or at the very least that he was unbothered. Just one day earlier to recording this video, he appeared on XQC's stream to puff out his chest and act like he was still the unchallenged king.
Shout out everybody.
I guess I should give a little intro. Like, I'm Drake. This is XQC. Me. I do music, in case you didn't know. I'm here. As you can see, fully intact. Mind, body, and soul, in case you were wondering. Right?
Mind, body, and soul.
Mind, body, and soul. You need facts to take me out. Fairy tales won't do it. Cheers to everybody.
Words live by.
Words to live by. Real talk.
In another attempt to undermine the impact of beef, he even announced that his upcoming tour would get underway the same day that Kendrick will perform at the Super Bowl halftime show.
February 9th. For anybody that's watching from Australia, I'm coming back to Australia the first time in 8 years. It's actually, funny enough, called the Anita Max Win Tour.
Really? No, stop.
I swear.
But just as those clips were doing the rounds, news broke that Drake was doing something that no one had anticipated. He began beefing not with Kendrick, but with his own label over the loss he sustained. Despite being signed to a deal with the company, Drake's Frozen Moments LLC accused music industry giants Universal Music Group of launching an illegal scheme, which basically claimed that Kendrick Lamar and the label used bots, payola, and other methods to pump up Kendrick's kill shot of Not Like Us. A diss track which, if you recall, broke several of Drake's previously held streaming records. According to attorneys for Drake's company, UMG did not rely on chance or even ordinary business practices. It instead launched a campaign to manipulate and saturate the streaming services and airwaves. Going one step further, the certified lawyer boy accused UMG of violating the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. According to his petition that was filed in New York, Spotify was said to be recommending the song to users who had searched for unrelated songs and artists after getting the bag from Universal. According to Drake's claims, they even paid Apple for Siri to be transformed into a Kendrick laser. UMG conspired with and paid currently unknown parties to use bots to artificially inflate the spread of Not Like Us and deceive consumers into believing the song was more popular than it was in reality. Online sources reported that when users asked Siri to play the album Certified Lover Boy by Drake, Siri instead played Not Like Us, which contains the lyric Certified Pedophile, an allegation against Drake. But apparently, this didn't come just out of nowhere. And if Frozen Moments' lawyers are to be believed, he raised the issue with them first prior to taking it to court. Drake has repeatedly sought to engage UMG in discussions to resolve the ongoing harm he has suffered as a result of UMG's actions, the petition reads. However, UMG allegedly refused to negotiate, insisting they weren't responsible for their own actions. Instead, the petition claims that UMG's response was to pit the two artists against each other and throw them under the bus. UMG has pointed the finger at Lamar and insisted that Drake should sue his rival rather than the label. He also claims that UMG told him that the label would sue Lamar if Drake ended up filing his own lawsuit. Even if he's using the threat of suing Dot as leverage, it's worth noting that UMG isn't responsible for how Kendrick spends the money that they give him. That's just how advances work. Now, maybe that might be his true intention, but from a hip-hop perspective, suing a fellow rapper in the wake of a rap beef would be unprecedented. And understandably, people are dumbfounded by what they're seeing.
You can watch Not Like Us at, the Olympics. You can watch it at campaign events, at the DNC National Convention. You can watch it at basketball games. You hear it in cars. How'd it get so big, right? So Drake is doing an investigation to figure out.
As soon as the news broke, Drake's claims were hit with a lot of skepticism, particularly from those who remember hearing the track everywhere this summer. UMG had absolutely nothing to do with me listening to Not Like Us a gazillion times. But as more and more people have weighed in on the situation and industry professionals have put their own 2 cents in, the whole situation just keeps getting stranger. Because now, Drake is gambling his reputation on something that's going to be very difficult for him to prove. When you really delve into the court filing, it's clear that there are 2 major things that Drizzy and his team are trying to prove. 1, that Kendrick's streams were artificially boosted, and 2, that UMG are conspiring to bring him down. With that in mind, some of Drake's recent moves make a lot more sense, like releasing music directly through Instagram and a dedicated website instead of traditional platforms. For example, after the beef with Kendrick, Drake released something called 100 Gigs for Your Head Top. It was a massive drop of archived songs and behind the scenes footage of him creating some of his most iconic tracks and albums. At the time, it seemed like they were gearing up for some kind of documentary, but just all of a sudden decided to make it public. Now, in hindsight, fans are starting to connect the dots. The 100 gig stuff he tried to pull is making a lot of sense now. He was doing all of that to spite UMG, and UMG weren't happy about it. Is this Drake trying to get out of his deal at all costs? Just a month ago, the narrative around Drake and UMG was very different. As when Kanye waded into the beef, he basically said that UMG's CEO, Lucien Grange, had done everything to prop Drake up at every turn.
Drake has a rich baby daddy named Lucien and Universal.
Wow.
He's like, man, my daddy got it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, my daddy controlled the spins. My daddy got the DSPs. My daddy. Drake has a rich baby daddy named Lucien.
But whether it was for the loss he sustained or for issues around finances, things have apparently shifted in recent times. Drake and Lucien have been strained for a while because Drake took a slave deal and wanted to negotiate after realizing he's worth way more. Lucien told him to fuck off. Now, that supposed slave deal might have been worth $400 million, but when you consider how vital Drake is to the music industry's financial ecosystem, there's actually a chance that it undervalued him. In this sense, the whole thing is not specifically about the song, but part of a larger ongoing dispute that he's having with UMG over cash, which is causing him to try and bring the whole system down with him.
Drake's side decided to file this lawsuit not just because of Not Like Us song. It's bigger than the song, which is why Drake is suing the label and not Kendrick directly. From what I was told, Drake feels as if his label is using the money made from them to fund Kendrick Lamar's song, burying him amidst a sensitive label negotiation he's currently in. I agree with that too. So Drake is in this new negotiation, like he even mentioned it before, where he said 400, like it's a low ball. Like, he's trying to get more. Like, reportedly Drake want to get like 600 mil from this next label. He's kind of consistently shown, I will drop. Remember, Drake didn't drop as much projects as before. He was shown, if y'all want me to drop like NBA Youngboy, I'll drop 3 projects a year. I'll go on tour 4 times a year. Give me the money. Show me the money. Like, give me it. I want 600 million.
Even DJ Academics, a well-known Drake supporter, has suggested that some of Drake's recent issues with his label stem from inadequate rollout strategies. Academics theorized that Drake's release of 100 gigs was a move to demonstrate his independence from record labels during contract negotiations. This shows that Drake may have assumed that all his releases would automatically succeed, and now he's frustrated that this approach isn't yielding the expected results.
Without kind of, any business, no matter what, you're supposed to take some of your profits and put it back into marketing. You're supposed to have a rollout. You're supposed to keep investing to keep getting more and more listeners or eyes or consumers to grow. You're not just to say, I'm the guy, I'm the hottest, and maybe because I'm putting out the hottest music and I'm making some social moves and you see me do a collab with 21 or Future, I don't need to do the other shit. But if you ask me, I think Drake has done that. So I'm not even I'm not saying Kendrick used bots, but if Kendrick had a rollout, I'm not blaming Kendrick at all.
Whatever's the case, the bar that a cease and desist is for hoes has aged like milk.
A cease and desist is for hoes. Can't listen to lies that come out of your mouth.
As is every attempt to act like he was unbothered by the runaway success of Not Like Us, such as this one from Lil Yachty.
He didn't give a fuck.
Really?
No, he was genuinely unfazed. I respected it a lot, and I talked to him. That shit didn't bother him. As it shouldn't. He's a fucking guy. When I never saw him down ever. I never saw him kicking his fucking foot, holding his head down. You know, and then to a point where I just stopped talking to him about it because I felt like I was the one bringing him the negativity.
Aside from the reputational damage this might do, and we'll get into that, one of the biggest issues Drake is facing is that the basis for the lawsuit is pretty slim. For one thing, the filing cites an anonymous hacker that even academics wasn't really buying as a source.
What's really interesting about Drake's claim is that if you watch the academics interview, academics questions the veracity, the truth of this guy saying, hey bro, are you sure? Like, somebody promised you points for bot streams? There's producers and engineers and people who feature on songs who don't get a % of the song. And somebody promised you? Academics questioned this guy's story. Anyway, Drake's lawyers saw it fit for a filing in a New York state court, and they say, look, this is some evidence of the bots.
Crazily, it also mentions the Montreal-based NFR podcast 23 times, claiming that petitioner understands that UMG paid the popular NFR podcast to promote Not Like Us and its video without disclosing the payment. This is a bad look for Drake because he's literally coming after guys who are just fans. Like seriously, these are the guys that Drake has a problem with.
She's trying to go.
And not only that, but the NFR podcasts are massive fans who have devoted entire videos to his discography. What's even crazier is that this is a rare instance where he's managed to make a major record company look sympathetic. People on Twitter are supporting a record label versus the actual artist, LOL. What a sight. They are supporting the entity they usually hate. In turn, UMG has absolutely refuted the allegations. And what's worse, their message essentially boils down to a sentiment of, you lost, get over it. In a recent statement, the label said, the suggestion that UMG would do anything to undermine any of its artists is offensive and untrue. We employ the highest ethical practices in our marketing and promotional campaigns. No amount of contrived and absurd legal arguments in this pre-action submission can mask the fact that fans choose the music they want to hear. In response, this led to even more trolling for the Six God. Unfortunately for Drake, he did all this to himself. He should have accepted the L. Now he is petty and just had the label themselves say he lost in a polite way. His daddy Lucien grounded him real quick. Aside from the lack of strong evidence, another big issue Drake is facing is the notion of hypocrisy at play here. Back when he was beefing with Pusha T, it was none other than UMG that got his diss, The Story of Adidon, removed for him when it was at 21 million views. And throughout his career, both UMG and Spotify have gone out of their way to promote him in ways that wouldn't be afforded to other artists. The funny thing will be when UMG says, fam, we've been botting your music for years, why are you mad? Remember when Scorpion came out in 2018? Drake's face was plastered across every Spotify playlist to the point that some premium subscribers were demanding refunds. To make matters worse, there are also accusations that he did the same thing, with receipts emerging from pages suggesting that his team reached out to try and push negative narratives surrounding Dot. Amid all of the chatter around the lawsuit's flimsy claims, the only argument of value is the notion that they lowered the licensing rate by 30%, and this is proven to be true. It might forever change how business is conducted and blow open the monopoly that has existed in the industry for too long.
I have no dog in this fight. I like Kendrick's music, I like Drake's music. I also think both of them have used bots via UMG, whether they knew it or not. What stood out to me in that paperwork was the accusation that UMG lowered their licensing rate by 30% for Not Like Us. Just a quick history lesson. How we even got to the value of what a stream is was based off Spotify and the three majors negotiating on what that value would be. What makes it even crazier is all three majors have actual stock and ownership within Spotify. That would be illegal in any other business in the world, but it's a music industry, so anything can fly. To the point that I worked at a major when Spotify went public, and they emailed all of us as employees and said, you cannot buy stock because that would be insider trading. Now imagine you're an artist and you know that the people that own your music plus the people that distribute your music, which is a whole separate tech company, are in cahoots to define what a dollar means within the music industry. And then you later find out that for one artist and one song, they devalued that dollar. You wouldn't have an issue with it?
Now, Drake might have a valid grievance if that is the case, but the problem is that he can't get the public on his side because there's no real belief that he's doing this for the greater good. My only problem is, why do we want to talk about this when Drake lost? This is the same engine that built his brand up. Stop helping him play victim. Drake is signed to literally the same machine. If this problem is as pervasive as people have presumed it is for years, standing up against it only when it affects you in a negative way isn't some act of bravery. But even if that did happen, the biggest issue that his legal battle is going to face is that it's not in any way illegal to do that. Just listen to Audio Mac's Brian Zizuk, who said, record labels and distributors can opt their artists into Spotify's Discovery Mode, a program that boosts song recommendations to more listeners. In return, Spotify takes 30% commission, effectively reducing the royalty rate paid to the label. If Interscope opted Kendrick in to help boost Not Like Us without Kendrick's knowledge, the only party who should be upset is Kendrick, because it means taking a lower royalty. With evidence like that, what Drake is attempting to do begins to look more and more like an ill-planned idea. Because it's no exaggeration to say that this really might be catastrophic for his legacy. For starters, he's come at Kendrick's neck over something that is just par for the course of the industry. Back when it first happened, Joe Budden exposed the idea that outside help was brought in during the peak of the beef. But rather than viewing it as a bad thing, he felt that it was a tool at their disposal in war.
Not only do I not care that he used bots, but I knew he did.
Okay, cool.
Y'all didn't know that Kendrick used bots?
No, and I didn't
care. You thought
care.
that this was just the first time miraculously that a Drake record ever had more dislikes than likes, or you didn't know that that was bots?
But at the end of the day, this is all just speculation. And at the time, academics actually refuted the botting rumors via a source inside Spotify who said they were all organic.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I talked to my man from Spotify. I won't say the name right now, but legit Spotify nigga. He said, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what that person on your stream was talking about. Them Kendrick streams is real. That's what
I'm saying. What I did, I called the people that I know oversee those people that play like that. I PTR'd it on my floor. They said, whack, we didn't work that, we didn't touch that.
Now, the whole world is baffled by what went down, and he's even being trolled by people outside hip-hop like Shannon Sharp, who can't work out why this was his move.
He said the record didn't do the numbers that it did.
Right.
They inflated the numbers to make the song seem more popular than what it actually was.
Okay, I got that part.
Drake is the first guy to have 20 songs with at least 1 billion streams.
Yes, sir.
It's hard to say there's a rapper bigger worldwide than Drake.
Right.
Drake, bro, okay, he got one up on you. It happens. You take this kind of measure? Chad, I'm confused. Just let it, bro. He got you. Ocho, you know how guy, we round there, we joning.
Right.
Guy get you. He get on you just right. Hey, ain't nothing you can do. It can't no comeback. He just got, hey, bro, you got me today. Drake, he got you. It's okay, bro. You Drake. Kendrick got one up on you. Not the end of the world, bro.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that he went to this measure. Do you know how much money Drake has made off music? Do you know how big Drake is? He got a big ass jumbo jet.
I
mean, Drake got to be worth $250 million, maybe even more. And somebody gets one off on you. I like Drake. I like Kendrick Lamar. But Kendrick Lamar got one off on you. Bro, you go to this?
Along the way, plenty of rappers ranging from J-Rock and Rhapsody to Lil Russell weighed in to ask if this is even possible within the realms of the culture. Legal action over losing a rap beef? My. Not like us at all. This is like when kids lose a fight at school and parents press charges. In fact, the general vibe is that when it comes to how to conduct yourself after a loss, this is the polar opposite of what the cultural guidelines say. And it's just another sign that his formerly handy disguise in hip-hop is now slipping, just as Kendrick predicted.
He just not hip. He don't get it. He's not hip. He's not hip.
I mean, he was...
No, he wasn't even the whole time. He's just incredible.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? He never been hip. He's incredible. He's an incredible talent. Right. He's like he could morph into anybody. He could do whatever. He can emulate, like whatever. Like he's like incredible talent.
Okay.
But he's never been hip. He's never been hip this whole time. He never, that just ain't what he about. Because
you're saying he never was culturally.
He's never been cool.
People are now even giving Meek Mill props for how he took the L in his beef with Drake. The whole lawsuit seems like a contradiction, cause like, if he truly believes that he suffered economic harm since the beef, as he claims in the lawsuit, he should realize that taking this route isn't going to make things any better. The biggest challenge he's facing now is that after the beef with Kendrick, his market value has dropped significantly. This action seems to stem from the fact that, being in a weaker position, he can no longer negotiate a better deal with Universal as he initially planned.
And they're probably looking at it and they're like, no, nigga, we'll give you like 500. And you know how they get Drake to bring his ass or bring his number a little bit down? Nigga, you just got spanked by Kendrick. Look, you're not with the culture feeling. What you mean? You want 700? We gave you 4 last time, nigga. We'll give you 450. Take it or leave it. 450, take it or leave it, nigga. And I can imagine Drake looking at them and saying, nigga, you on crack? Or maybe they were even more disrespectful. Yo, take 350, nigga. You know what Drake said? Say less. Yo, Oliver, yo, buy that domain, 100gigs.com. We're gonna just drop it there. Okay, let's see if it works. Yo, his labels didn't even acknowledge, other than claiming the songs as they eventually did. They did not, there's zero promo with any of the things he's dropped since the battle. None. Like, they're not touching it.
And now that he seems more disposable, they've reminded him who's really in charge. Because rather than going independent, Drake bet it all on his good relationship with Universal. In the aftermath of how this has gone down, Drake has got to be looking at his future prospects and wondering how much of his legacy has been tarnished. Left looking paranoid and now spiraling, just as Dot said on Euphoria. The thing that people seem to think is craziest of all is that while he's gone to war over alleged bots, he didn't sue Dot for defamation about the claims that he is literally a PDF file. Instead, he once again put the responsibility on UMG, claiming that they could have halted the release of a song which he says falsely accused him of being a sex offender. And while hip-hop wouldn't have respected it either way, the decision to bring lawyers into the equation the way he did opens a can of worms he could have done without. Particularly when, once again, there is an element of hypocrisy here, with Drake not only making claims about Kendrick's personal life in terms of alleged spousal abuse, infidelity, and even his kid being fathered by his PG-length partner Dave Free, but also allegedly putting money in the streets in an attempt to acquire more info on Kendrick's personal life. Would Drake have liked it if UMG stopped that? I don't think so. Live by the sword, die by it. In turn, making this whole situation just another victory lap for Dot. Now that the petition is out there, Drake is expected to keep a low profile, and according to academics, he is refusing to discuss it publicly.
This already is gonna tell me it's clearly not Drake, right? So Drake didn't tell her this. Again, first of all, I reached out to Drake too. Drake, he's not speaking on this, right? And he doesn't need to speak on it. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a lawsuit. You get what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, Not Like Us is still being sung all around the world. Even 6 months later, crowds are screaming it word for word, which makes it clear that, botting or not, the love people have for the track is undeniably real. Instead of taking the L, Drake has made a misstep in terms of perception from the masses. And now, people like Wayno believe it's damaging in a way he can't come back from.
But one thing I will tell you is that there's no more grace for Drake. There's no more benefit of the doubt. It's none of that. And I know, some of y'all is probably looking like this. Looking like Steven from Django. You know what I'm saying? All tight, mad. Y'all can see this. Listen, this is one of the reasons why people call Drake a culture vulture. The more you listen to Euphoria, the more it makes sense. So, yo.
And many onlookers agree. In essence, what Drake now finds himself in is a lose-lose situation. Because even if this is about his bag, there's just no way that he comes out of this looking good from a reputational standpoint.
Drake can expect from this either way. Drake and his team can expect from this either way. If he wins, to me, this looks terrible. If he loses, to me, he looks even worse. And the ramifications, should he actually win this? And now people are like, oh man, shoot, man, we got to start limiting rap battles. I mean, this dude, that's an attack at a much broader, much bigger cultural thing, all because he decided not to keep it a friendly fade.
But let it never be said that he wasn't warned. Back when things were heating up, even his biggest cheerleader told him at the time that certain things he said on push-ups was opening the floodgates to something he might not be capable of dealing with.
Drake, you did the same thing twice now. You mentioned Virginia Williams or whatever, with Pusha T's wife, and you saw that nigga took the gloves off, and we saw what happened. You mentioned Whitney, and Kendrick Lamar's wife name is Whitney. You have to be prepared for anything. There is no, oh nah, I can't believe you said that. No, because you're talking crazy already too. This is a knock 'em out slugfest. This is no holds bar. This is, I don't care what that nigga says, he could expose.
After such a series of missteps, you would think that there was no more damage that could be done to Drake's image, reputation, or standing in the rap realm. But somehow, things just keep beginning to look worse, and to a lot of social media users, this is the point where the scales fully tip. This lawsuit isn't about music, it's about legacy, or rather the lack of one. It's a public confession that Drake fears for the future because it no longer has his name written on it. The irony, he's not even wrong. The beginning of the end of Drake's career didn't start at Like That or Not Like Us. It didn't start at 100 gigs flopping or GNX. It started today. Man, things aren't looking good for Drake. Meanwhile, Kendrick appears to be having the time of his life. As always, it's your boy Louaista, and I want to thank y'all for tapping in today's video. Make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe if you did enjoy it, and until next time, my friends, peace.